My concert tickets vanished. My husband, William, blamed my carelessness. Then I saw the woman he took instead, his mistress. When she turned her face bare, my blood ran cold. It was Amelia's face. But Amelia was dead. Or so I thought. That moment shattered my world. But from the ruins, I built a fortress of revenge, brick by satisfying brick. The tickets were gone. Not misplaced. Gone. Just a week ago, the crisp envelope had arrived, containing 2 golden passes to see the Crimson Tides live at Madison Square Garden. My absolute favorite band. For 3 days straight, I'd taken them out, tracing the intricate design, memorizing the seat numbers, section 104. Row G, seats 12 and 13. A night planned with my best friend, a rare escape. I'd carefully slid them back into the envelope, tucking it safely into my dresser drawer each time. You probably took them out and forgot where you put them, William scoffed, watching me frantically tear through my belongings. Always so scatterbrained, staring at them constantly. Now look, they're gone. His accusation hung in the air, sharp and unfair. No, I put them back every single time. Right here, I insisted, gesturing at the empty drawer. I knew I hadn't misplaced them. That certainty warred with the undeniable fact. They weren't there. The panic began to claw at my throat. The concert was next week. A cold suspicion slithered into my mind. Could someone have taken them? Maybe, and was playing with them? William suggested, naming his younger sister, a sweet kid still in middle school. Don't be ridiculous. And wouldn't touch my things, I snapped back. And was the one person in this house who treated me with genuine kindness. I was a whirlwind of frantic energy, searching, researching, my frustration mounting. William just stood there, observing me with an unnerving calmness. It irritated me. Well, help me look, William. Don't just stand there. If they're gone, he said flatly, turning away. Probably for the best. You should be focusing on home, taking care of Mom and Ann, not gallivanting off to concerts. His words landed like tiny cold stones. Your priorities need to be here now. I stared at his back, momentarily stunned, speechless. Priorities? Like him? Like his demanding mother? He paused at the doorway. Oh right, I forgot to tell you. I have a business trip next week. To New York. My frantic searching stopped. A chill snaked down my spine. When do you leave? My voice was carefully neutral. The 21st. The 21st. My concert was the 24th. In New York. Where William was supposedly going for business. William. The pieces clicked into place with horrifying clarity. He wouldn't, would he? Steal my tickets? See. Lost them yourself. Serves you right, he muttered, picking up a glass of water and disappearing down the hall, leaving behind a wake of cold indifference. His retreating figure solidified my suspicion into near certainty. It would have been laughably easy for him to take them. But why? To spite me? Or, for someone else? My search continued, fueled now by a simmering rage. Bedroom, study, living room. Even digging through trash cans like a desperate animal. My mother-in-law, Catherine, sat perched on the sofa, cracking nuts, feet propped carelessly on the coffee table. The shells scattered around her like fallen leaves. Good thing you lost them, she declared, not even looking at me. A woman with a family shouldn't be wasting time and money on loud concerts. It's not respectable. She paused, her voice dripping with condescension. Married all this time and still no children. And you want to run off to New York? We're not made of money, you know. Her anger seemed to inflate with each word. She flicked a handful of shells pointedly at my feet. It wasn't your money, I retorted, yanking open the coffee table drawers, deliberately bumping her feet off the table. Her face contorted. She spat a piece of nutshell, and it landed on my arm before falling to the floor. Don't you get high and mighty with me, Sophia. If it weren't for us taking you in, you'd still be miserable back with your own broken family. I rolled my eyes, refusing to engage. But her words echoed the confusion swirling inside me. Taking me in? This venomous woman bore no resemblance to the kindly, sympathetic figure I thought I'd met years ago. Was it all an act? Her, William, even her husband Henry's convenient illnesses? Had they always been like this, just wearing masks? Useless woman, Catherine muttered. Just then the front door opened, and in bounced in, backpack slung over her shoulder. Anne, look at the time. Catherine instantly switched personas, becoming the concerned mother, redirecting her vitriol. Sophia, you lazy thing. All you care about is your silly concert. You didn't even pick up and from school. What good are you? She leaped off the sofa like an agitated monkey, pointing a finger inches from my face. Button rushed forward, wrapping her arms around my waist. Mom, stop yelling at Sophia. You said you'd pick me up this afternoon. You promised. It was you who forgot. I hugged in close, stroking her hair. Catherine flushed crimson, caught out by her own daughter, but quickly recovered. I was busy. Unlike your sister-in-law, who does nothing all day. Nothing? Who ran this household? Who did the shopping, the cleaning, the endless emotional labor? Catherine seemed to live solely to criticize me. I'm home, William announced, his voice as lifeless as ever. He glanced impassively at the tense scene before shuffling towards the bathroom. The sound of running water filled the silence. Walking corpse, I muttered under my breath, glaring at the bathroom door. All the washing in the world won't scrub the stink off you. Who do you think you're talking to? Catherine screeched, instantly defensive. How dare you insult my son? Ungrateful girl. If we hadn't shown you kindness, you'd be rotting with your awful parents. I ought to call them right now. Tell them what a disrespectful brat you've become. The old threats. I ignored her, taking Anne's hand. Come on, sweetheart. Let's get out of here. Walking hand in hand with Anne, my little beacon in this suffocating house, felt like breathing fresh air. We stopped for burgers and fries, and chattering happily. It's yummy, Sophia. I love fries. Me too. I smiled genuinely for the first time all day, walking back up the stairs to our apartment, and suddenly stopped. Sophia, she said, her small face serious. Why does Mom always fight with you? I don't like it when you fight. My heart ached for her. She saw too much. The sweet, innocent girl peering from behind a cracked door during Catherine's tirades, her eyes wide with fear, before inevitably running out to defend me. Just grown-up nonsense. Catherine would always dismiss her. I knelt down, cupping her soft face. Don't you worry. As long as I have my Anne to protect me, I'll be just fine. She beamed, a miniature sunflower turning towards the light, warming a part of me that had felt frozen for years. That warmth reminded me of how it all began. How I believed this family was my salvation. It was during my senior year internship. Rushing out of the towering office building one evening, I was stopped by an elderly woman asking for directions. I recognized her instantly. Mrs. Harrison? Catherine? Is that you? Oh, Sophia dear, what are you doing here? She blinked up at the gleaming skyscraper, momentarily bewildered by the unfamiliar surroundings. I knew her from near my university campus, where she often collected cans and bottles. I'd started saving mine for her, then cardboard boxes, and we'd struck up a quiet familiarity. This is miles from the university, Catherine. Are you lost? Oh dear me, yes. I must have wandered too far, she said, smiling, though I saw the flicker of embarrassment in her eyes. Where do you live? I'm heading back that way anyway, let me walk with you. She readily agreed. When we reached her modest home, the door was opened by a clean-cut young man with dark-rimmed glasses. William, darling, this is Sophia, Catherine had beamed, pulling me inside. I got terribly lost, and this kind girl brought me all the way home. She patted my hand, her eyes crinkling with gratitude. The young man, William, offered a shy smile. Thank you so much. It was no trouble, really, I murmured. Stay for dinner, Sophia, please, Catherine insisted, already bustling towards the kitchen. And there was little Anne, maybe 9 or 10 then, peering at me with wide, curious eyes, a hint of a welcoming smile playing on her lips. William sat quietly, fidgeting, the picture of bashful humility, a stark contrast to the irritable, dismissive man he'd become. Or maybe not a contrast at all. Maybe that was just part of the performance. That night, after finding the concert tickets missing, sleep evaded me. When William's breathing finally deepened into snores, I carefully slid his phone from the nightstand. I'd never checked it before. Trust I'd believed was paramount. Necessity, I now knew, was sharper. What I found wasn't just evidence, it was a glimpse into a William the first didn't recognize. Slick, confident, manipulative. After that first meeting, Catherine started appearing near my office building around quitting time. Just happened to be in the area, she'd say, invariably inviting me back for dinner. Her cooking was comforting, familiar in a way my own mother's never was. At my childhood home, I was the cook, the cleaner, the default servant. Meals not ready on time meant my father George's roaring anger, sometimes followed by his fists. My mother Elizabeth would flutter nervously, placating him, murmuring apologies for me, never defending me, never teaching my younger brother, Thomas, any responsibility. Girls just learn these things, was the unspoken, suffocating rule. I poured out my heart to Catherine and her family. She held my hand tightly, tears welling in her eyes, making me feel seen, cherished, like the daughter she never had. Little Anne would cling to my sleeve, her own eyes mirroring her mother's sympathy. It felt like finding a safe harbor after a lifetime at sea in a leaky boat. Soon, William started meeting me after work instead. Quiet William, who sometimes brought flowers, whose ears would turn pink when I teased him. He seemed gentle, steadfast. 2 years later, we were married. I remembered Catherine on the wedding day, radiant, clutching my hands, telling guests how wonderful I was, tears of joy streaming down her face. William watched me, with what I mistook for deep affection. I thought I'd finally found my happy ending, a loving family to heal the wounds of my past. My only wish then was for their happiness, for Henry's, my father-in-law's, supposed illness to improve. Was it all a lie? Did people change so drastically? Or had the kindness been a meticulously crafted illusion, designed to lure me in, only to be discarded once I was securely trapped? Were those early days, the shy smiles, the sympathetic tears, just part of an elaborate, cruel game? The next morning, doing laundry, I found it. A sleek, expensive tube of lipstick tucked into William's pants pocket. Definitely not mine. I couldn't afford Chanel. William certainly wouldn't buy it for me. My stolen concert tickets flashed in my mind. Of course. A gift for someone else. The late-night messages I glimpsed on his phone solidified the ugly picture. Got them. Better think about how you're gonna thank me. The greasy undertone made my stomach churn. My tickets. My escape stolen to woo his mistress. Bile rose in my throat. I reached for my phone to call him out, but a harsh rapping at the front door interrupted me. Catherine rushed to open it, her face instantly transforming into a mask of sycophantic welcome. Oh, George. Elizabeth. Come in, come in. So glad you could make it. Her performance was flawless, honed by years of practice. She was setting the stage, positioning my parents as her allies to discipline me. Pathetic, I muttered, leaning against the doorframe, rolling my eyes at her display. She shot me a venomous glare that screamed, "You'll get yours." Bunch of children, I sighed. I quickly gave in some cash. Go get yourself a treat, sweetie. Stay out for a bit. I didn't want her hearing the filth that was about to fly. She gave me a worried look. I winked, mouthing, "I've got this." She nodded, her ponytail swinging as she slipped out the door. My father, George, settled onto the sofa, exchanged pleasantries with Catherine, then turned his critical gaze on me, scanning me up and down as if assessing faulty merchandise. "Look at you," he sneered. "Living the high life, huh? Ungrateful brat. Got money for concerts but can't spare a dime for your brother. Always Thomas. Everything for Thomas." I was sick of it. "You want money, Dad?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "Why don't you ask her for the wedding money back?" I nodded towards Catherine, who was now perched smugly on a side chair, munching nuts. "What wedding money? They paid it, didn't they?" My mother, Elizabeth, looked confused. "Oh, didn't I tell you?" I walked over, casually plucked a handful of nuts from Catherine's now trembling hand, and started cracking them. "The money in that account they gave you? That wasn't their wedding gift. That was my savings. From my job." Elizabeth's confusion deepened. Catherine looked like she might faint. "Remember Dad's serious illness right before the wedding?" I continued, addressing my parents but watching Catherine shrink. "Needed urgent treatment," they said. "Yes, ow." George grunted, impatient. "Don't listen to her lies, George," Catherine squeaked, attempting to intervene. "Shut up, woman," George snapped, shoving her back. "What about the money, Sophia?" Money always got his attention. They needed $20,000 supposedly. I explained coolly. They gave you $18,000 as a wedding gift. Less than 3 days later, William came to me crying, saying it was all the money they had. If they gave it to you, his father wouldn't get treatment. He begged. I paused, letting the memory of William's crocodile tears hang in the air. So like an idiot, I gave them back the $18,000, plus another $2,000 from my own savings. They promised they'd pay me back when they were on their feet. I looked directly at Catherine. Funny thing though, last year, a colleague's uncle had the exact same condition. Total treatment cost less than $3,000. The air crackled. I recalled William's dramatic performance, sobbing about his poor, hard-working father, how he couldn't bear to lose him. I decomforted him, stroked his hair, blinded by misplaced sympathy and love. Catherine had wept too, promising she'd never forget my kindness, vowing to repay me. Repay me or never pay me. The memory soured on my tongue. Foolish, trusting girl. Catherine was now visibly trembling, cornered like a trapped animal. George's face darkened, thunder gathering in his eyes. You cheating scum, he roared, turning on Catherine, spittle flying. And they haven't paid back a single cent, I added, pouring gasoline on the fire. Never even showed me a hospital bill. Crack. The sound echoed in the room, but the blow landed on my face. You stupid girl. George bellowed, his face inches from mine. All that money. Why didn't you give it to me immediately? Useless. Costing me money instead of making me any. His finger jabbed towards my nose. Elizabeth hovered nearby, wringing her hands, tears in her eyes, but utterly silent, utterly useless. Catherine, however, visibly puffed up, a smug look replacing her fear. She thought she was safe. Give me my money. George suddenly whirled back towards Catherine. Pay up, you cheats. No, George, please listen. Catherine stammered, scrambling backwards. It wasn't like that. We had wedding expenses. And Sophia costs a lot to keep, you know? We spent so much on her over the years. I don't care about your excuses. George roared, grabbing a heavy glass ashtray from the table and hurling it to the floor, where it shattered violently. Catherine shrieked, collapsing onto the floor, dissolving into theatrical tears and wails. We have no money. Henry is still unwell. William is the only one supporting us. Take me instead, just take me. She pounded the floor, putting on a show for the neighbors she hoped would hear. Elizabeth tried feebly to pull George away, then patted Catherine's shoulder, accomplishing nothing. My father lunged, grabbing Catherine by the hair, dragging her across the living room floor. She shrieked and kicked. He kicked back, hitting her stomach. They became a tangled mess of flailing limbs and curses. I watched them, a cold, detached satisfaction settling in my gut. Let them tear each other apart. Suddenly Elizabeth, my mother, turned towards me. Her face was a mask of bewildered anger. She raised her hand, aiming for my face. I caught her wrist, stopping the blow midair. I stared into her eyes, filled with a pain deeper than any physical blow could inflict. She wanted to hit me too. Her betrayal cut deeper than George's predictable brutality. She was programmed, a robot running on outdated patriarchal code. Man first, always. His word is law. His anger is justified. Her own daughter? Expendable. I pitied her, trapped in her fear, unable to break free. But pity wasn't enough. I hated myself for not being able to save her. But I couldn't let her drag me down with her. I took a sick day. The chaos of the past few days left me drained, hollow. I wandered aimlessly and found myself in a quiet park, the cool breeze a welcome balm. I spotted an empty bench, but as I approached, I saw a couple already seated. Something about the man's posture, the cut of his jacket, a jacket I bought him, made me freeze. William, supposedly at work, but clearly here on a date. He held a small, elegant pink gift bag. The woman beside him leaned her head on his shoulder, her face hidden. He murmured something, and she laughed, covering her mouth. Then he handed her the bag. She opened it eagerly. My breath caught. Inside was a familiar white envelope. She tipped it, and 2 concert tickets. My concert tickets tumbled out. Her voice was a low murmur of delight. William chuckled, running his hand through her hair. Pulled some strings, he bragged. Easy peasy. Anything for you. Next time you want to see a show, just ask. Her excitement was palpable. She leaned in and kissed him. He turned her face towards his, and they melted into a deep kiss, right there on the park bench. A gust of wind blew her hair back, revealing more of her profile as she clutched my tickets. My hands shook as I raised my phone, recording the entire disgusting display. William must have sensed something. He glanced over his shoulder, but I ducked behind a large oak tree. He saw nothing. She carefully placed the tickets back in the bag. Hand in hand, giddy like teenagers, they strolled out of the park and towards a nearby hotel. I followed, my heart a cold, hard knot in my chest. They disappeared inside, oblivious. I waited in the hotel lobby, slumped on a plush sofa. The past few years flickered through my mind, the hopeful beginning, the slow disillusionment, the outright betrayal. It was over. This farce of a marriage was definitively, irrevocably over. When they emerged an hour later, flushed and laughing, they parted ways. I shadowed the woman. She headed towards an older apartment complex in a neighborhood I vaguely recognized, Lee Court. William had a colleague, Amelia, who used to live around here. Amelia, the sweet, bubbly girl from his office he used to talk about constantly. The one who tragically died in a car accident a year ago. The woman disappeared into one of the buildings. I lingered, walking around the block, trying to process everything. There was a small grocery store on the corner. I went inside, needing a distraction. As I came out, I saw her again, the mistress, standing by a fruit stand, selecting apples. She'd changed into casual clothes, but the distinctive hair color and slender build were unmistakable. She turned, perhaps hearing my footsteps. Our eyes met. My groceries slipped from my grasp, hitting the pavement with a dull thud. She immediately bent down, gathering my scattered items. "Oh, are you all right?" she asked, her voice filled with genuine concern as she handed them back to me. Fine. I'm fine," I stammered, snatching my things and practically fleeing. It couldn't be her, Amelia? But Amelia was dead. That night, lying in bed beside William, the image of the woman at the fruit stand haunted me. Amelia? How? William? I began, my voice quiet in the darkness. Do you remember Amelia? From your office? Amelia had been lovely, petite, with dimples that deepened when she smiled, eyes that crinkled at the corners. Warm, friendly. I liked her too. Back when William brought her home once with colleagues after an office party. Her reported death had shocked everyone. Yeah. Why? He shifted, turning his back to me. I thought I saw her today, I said softly. What? He bolted upright, turning sharply, his eyes wide with disbelief, staring at me as if I'd lost my mind. I mean, I quickly amended. I saw someone who looked exactly like her. He let out a breath, relaxing back onto the pillow. Don't scare me like that. Finish your sentences. Silence stretched between us. I turned my head, looking at his profile in the dim light. It was such a shame, I murmured, injecting a note of sadness I didn't entirely feel. Such a lovely girl gone too soon. That car accident. William didn't respond. His breathing evened out, feigning sleep. He always did this when the topic of Amelia came up. Ever since her death, he'd become intensely avoidant of her name. It struck me as odd back then. We'd all questioned the circumstances. Amelia was always so careful. Why would she jaywalk across a busy street with no crosswalk? William's curt dismissal, why dwell on it? Felt wrong. He used to talk about her non-stop, praising her effusively. That sudden silence after her death had been jarring. Who was the woman I saw today? Could two strangers look so uncannily alike? A chilling thought began to form, connecting William's evasiveness, the accident, and the woman who wore Amelia's face. The implication was monstrous, sending ice through my veins. On the 21st, William packed for his business trip to New York. I watched him, my face impassive, my mind racing with plans. He put on a convincing show, making fake calls about meeting schedules and client dinners. Keep acting, William. Let us see how long you can maintain the charade. On the night of the 24th, at precisely 8 p.m., concert time, I called his phone. As expected, it went straight to voicemail. 30 minutes later, a text arrived. In a meeting. A humorless laugh escaped my lips. Oh, I bet he was meeting someone. The moment William walked through the door on the 25th, looking tired but smug, I dropped the bomb. Let's get a divorce, William. He froze, his travel bag slipping from his grasp. He spun around, utter shock washing over his features. What? He clearly hadn't expected this. He probably still saw me as the passive, easily manipulated wife. He didn't know I was about to be promoted to marketing manager at my firm. He and his family never cared about my career, assuming I was still just a low-paid assistant. I calmly laid out the evidence. The photos from the park, the video of them entering the hotel, screenshots of his messages. His face flushed beet red, shame warring with a simmering resentment, as if I were the one who had wronged him. There wasn't much marital property. The house was bought before the wedding, primarily with his parents' money, and titled in their names. I demanded the entirety of our joint savings, the little that remained after his constant drain. He protested weakly, but knew he had no leg to stand on. As I packed my few belongings, a final thought struck me. By the way, William, I said, pausing at the door, suitcase in hand, doesn't your little girlfriend look familiar? His confused frown told me everything. He hadn't seen her without her meticulous makeup. He hadn't recognized the ghost he was sleeping with. I wondered what his face would look like when he finally saw her, really saw her. You're upset about losing this small amount of money? I smirked, gesturing around the apartment he would now struggle to afford. Oh, William, your troubles are just beginning. With a final liberating click of the door latch, I walked away, a smile playing on my lips. I'd already found a room to rent in a building just down the street, close enough to watch the fireworks. A few days later, leaving work, I saw Catherine escorting my parents, George and Elizabeth, towards the apartment building. She still dared to contact them? George spotted me and charged, grabbing my hair, trying to drag me away. You shameless hussy. Did I say you could get divorced? Who gave you permission? His other hand came up to strike me. This time, I wasn't the scared girl. I twisted free, my hand connecting sharply with his face. The slap echoed in the quiet street. George froze, stunned into silence. He hadn't expected resistance. He, the petty tyrant, couldn't comprehend defiance from the daughter he'd spent a lifetime suppressing. Elizabeth gasped, staring at me as if I were a stranger. Then, propelled by some ingrained reflex, she lunged, her own hand raised to strike. I caught her wrist, my heart heavy. Her betrayal still stung, but now it was mixed with a weary pity. Stop it, Mom, I said, my voice flat. It's over. They didn't know where I was living yet. And Catherine soon had bigger problems than harassing me. William, true to form, married his mistress, the woman calling herself Evelyn, barely weeks after our divorce was finalized. Catherine was suddenly parading Evelyn around the neighborhood, beaming, treating her like royalty. I overheard her boasting to neighbors how she'd helped the happy couple with a down payment on their house, meaning William's parents' house. How Evelyn was such a wonderful daughter-in-law, unlike that blood-sucking Sophia. She crowed about adding Evelyn's name to the deed, hinted at a grandchild on the way. Listening from around the corner, I had to stifle a laugh. The old fool was being played like a violin, and she was humming along to the tune. Didn't Catherine remember Amelia either? Didn't Evelyn look even vaguely familiar? Apparently not, through the rosy filter of wishful thinking. One evening, feeling particularly mischievous, I sent a simple text message to an anonymous number I'd saved. 1107. It was William and Evelyn's apartment number. Then I set an alarm for 10 p.m. Right on schedule. I put my shoes back on and strolled over to their building. As I approached their floor, I could hear the sounds of crashing objects, shouting, a full-blown domestic war. I leaned against the opposite wall, listening with grim satisfaction. Suddenly the door burst open. A woman stood there, makeup smeared, hair wild but eyes blazing. It was Evelyn. Behind her stood William, looking utterly defeated, pleading. Honey, listen, she means nothing. She seduced me. I swear. His pathetic excuses made me want to gag. Catherine sat slumped on the sofa inside, the picture of misery, a faint red handprint visible on her cheek. Someone had clearly had enough of her. The bedroom door creaked open, and Anne peeked out. Seeing me, her face lit up, and she ran over, grabbing my hand. Come on, Anne, I said gently, leading her away from the wreckage. Let's get you out of here. Sophia, you came back, she whispered, then corrected herself. I mean, are you my sister now? I smiled, ruffling her hair. You can call me Sophia, sweetie. Or big sister if you like. I squeezed her hand. I just came by to enjoy the show. The new lady is leaving older brother, and explained, her voice small. She was yelling about taking half the house. That's grown-up stuff and, don't you worry about it, I reassured her, steering her towards the elevator. Kids shouldn't be burdened with this ugliness. As we waited, my phone buzzed incessantly. Ding, ding, ding. A cascade of notifications. Someone named Lychee was flooding William's family group chats with photos. I opened one, a smirk spreading across my face. The pictures were clearly taken in a hotel room. Messy bed, clothes strewn about. A disheveled woman huddled under the covers. And William, clad only in boxers, desperately trying to cover his face while simultaneously trying to snatch the phone recording him. He looked like a trapped rat. Pure panic. I scrolled back through my texts and found the anonymous number I'd messaged earlier. I saved it under a new contact name, Victoria. A few weeks later, a message popped up from William. Sophia, can I borrow some money? No. My reply was instant. Dada's back in the hospital. Brain hemorrhage. ICU. His health was already bad, this time it's serious. We're desperate. Your dad, William. Not mine, I typed back, cold fury simmering. And while we're on the topic, how exactly did he manage that? Asking for a friend. My own father, George, could use a similar lesson. He didn't reply. But honestly, watching George self-destruct wouldn't break my heart. The next day, leaving my apartment, I nearly tripped over a huddled figure by my door. Who left their trash here? I called out loudly. Sophia. Sophia, it's me. Catherine scrambled to her feet, rushing towards me, her face plastered with a desperate, pleading smile. Just getting off work, dear? You must be tired. I'm not lending you money, Catherine, I stated flatly, cutting her off. Oh, Sophia, you wouldn't believe William's new wife. Awful woman. Spending money like water bags, makeup, clothes. Nothing like you, dear. I miss you terribly. Her voice cracked. And the pregnancy? All eyes. Why is my life so hard? Her whining grated on my nerves. Stop. Go cry somewhere else. Where can I go? She wailed. She took the house. We have nothing. A genuine laugh escaped me. I leaned against the wall, pulling out a small bag of chips I'd bought, and started eating, waiting for the rest of the sob story. Realizing I was unmoved, Catherine's face hardened. Don't you forget, Sophia, she hissed, her voice low and threatening. We were good to you once. And still lives with us. You wouldn't want anything to happen to her, would you? I stepped close, grabbing the front of her worn cardigan, forcing her to meet my gaze. And is your daughter, Catherine? Not a bargaining chip. You lay one hand on her. You threaten her in any way. And I swear I will report you for child endangerment so fast your head will spin. Do you understand me? The fight drained out of her. She knew she had no leverage left. I released her, and she crumpled against the wall, defeated. A week later, I was at the hospital with a friend for her checkup when I saw Catherine frantically rushing down a corridor, clutching papers, looking utterly lost. Serves her right, my friend muttered, watching her pathetic scurry. While my friend was in her appointment, curiosity got the better of me. I followed Catherine to a room. Inside, Henry lay in the bed looking frail and ancient, and was patiently trying to feed him some broth, but he weakly swatted the spoon away, spilling it. Just keep making trouble, Catherine sobbed, wiping her eyes with a frayed sleeve. Just keep it up. William lost his job because of this mess. It's all your fault, you stubborn old man. I slipped away quietly. The cycle of blame continued. Returning to my neighborhood that evening, the flashing lights and sirens were impossible to miss. An ambulance and police cars were parked outside William's old building. A crowd had gathered. Isn't that the Harrison boy? From the 12th floor. So young, what a shame. Why would he do that? His father's still in the hospital, isn't he? Terrible. Whispers of suicide rippled through the crowd. William. It seemed the pressure, the exposure, the financial ruin. Henry's illness, it had all become too much. Good thing we finalized the sale of our old place last week. My friend, who lived nearby, whispered to me, sounding morbidly practical. A jumper really kills property values. Come on, Evelyn, I said, taking her arm. Let's get out of here. This place reeks of bad endings. Yes, Evelyn. The woman I defollowed from the park. The woman whose face mirrored Amelia's. The woman William married, and who subsequently ruined him. The day I confronted her at the fruit stand, after my initial shock, I had gone back. Amelia? I called out softly. She stiffened, then turned slowly. Who are you? You look like Amelia Harrison, I stated. I'm not Amelia, she said coolly, turning back to her apples. My husband William was her colleague. She came to our house once. That got her attention. A bitter smirk touched her lips. Small world. Do you know William? I pressed. She ignored me. The concert tickets he gave you? He stole them from me. She paused, then looked at me, a flicker of something pity? Understanding. In her eyes. He told me he bought them. A wry, humorless smile. Figures. I'm divorcing him, I said suddenly. You can have him. I paused, then added pointedly. You really do look so much like Amelia. Her composure finally cracked. Do you know how Amelia really died? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. My blood ran cold again. My terrifying suspicion resurfaced. It had something to do with William, didn't it? It wasn't a question. Tears streamed down her face as she told me the real story. Amelia hadn't just been a colleague. She'd been William's secret girlfriend. He'd lied, claiming he was single. When Amelia discovered the truth, seeing me, the wife. When colleagues brought a drunk William home, she was devastated. William, the master manipulator, convinced her to stay, feeding her lies about our loveless marriage, promising a future together. He used her, then discarded her months later when he grew bored. The night he broke up with her, callous and cruel, even slapping her when she pleaded with him, Amelia walked away in a daze of grief. Distraught, not paying attention, she wandered far from her usual route home and stepped into traffic without looking. The accident wasn't entirely accidental, it was born of heartbreak and betrayal inflicted by William. Then who are you? I whispered, though I already knew. I'm Evelyn, she choked out. Amelia was my sister. Everything clicked. The resemblance, the calculated revenge. Now packing the last of my things in my rented room, ready to move from my new job opportunity out of state, my phone rang. It was my mother, Elizabeth. Her voice was panicked. Sophia, you need to come to the hospital. Right now. What happened? It's your brother Thomas. He wanted money for some expensive new phone. $1,000. Your father refused. They argued, they fought. George fell down the stairs. He's hurt, Sophia. Her voice dissolved into sobs. And Thomas ran off. We haven't seen him in 2 days. Can you bring some soup? Maybe roasted chicken for your father. I could picture her perfectly, sitting by George's bedside, weeping helplessly, still expecting me to fix the mess her precious son and abusive husband had created. Sorry, Mom, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I can't make it. I'm busy. I paused, a bitter smile touching my lips. If Dad wants chicken, tell him to ask Catherine. Maybe she can cook Henry for him. I hung up before she could respond. Evelyn, who was helping me pack, burst out laughing. The absurdity of it all, the sheer dysfunction, was almost comical. A wave of release washed over me, followed by tears not of sadness, but of finality. George's fate was his own making. Elizabeth's tears were her own prison. This was the price of their choices, the rotten fruit of favoritism and fear. They wouldn't drown me anymore. Autumn sunlight streamed through the clean windows of the pizza place. This one, Sophia. The bacon ranch wedges. And loves these. Victoria, my red-haired partner in crime from the hotel setup, pointed at the menu, grinning. You were brilliant, Victoria, seriously, Evelyn said, clapping her friend on the shoulder. A piece of cake, Victoria waved dismissively. Posing for a few blurry photos? Easy. Anything for Amelia. A brief, poignant silence fell over the table. Yummy. And piped up from the corner booth, her eyes glued to the pizza that had just arrived, breaking the momentary sadness. Honestly, though, Victoria leaned in, lowering her voice. That guy William? Zero willpower. Pathetically easy to tempt. We all suppressed chuckles. Let's not talk about him. Evelyn sighed, propping her chin on her hand. I'm going to miss you, Sophia, now that you're leaving. My company's relocation offer felt like a fresh start, a continent away from the wreckage of my old life. I'll visit. Promise, I said, raising my glass of iced tea. Evelyn and Victoria raised theirs. A small plastic cup filled with soda, held in Anne's little hand, eagerly joined the toast. I reached over and ruffled Anne's hair. And I'll definitely come back to see my favorite little sister. The moment felt suspended in time: sunshine, friendship, the aroma of pizza, and the sweet, simple joy on Anne's face. My face, Evelyn's face, Victoria's face. We had faced the darkness, fought back, and found our own light. The past was ash, but the future stretched before me, bright and full of promise. The satisfaction was deep, resonant, and entirely mine.